This video is from a pretty new character of mine. I'd been trying to nurse them back to health after getting sick from a freshie that I was running with for a while, and also I was pretty beat up from a couple zombies. So I'd been running around from town to town checking different medical buildings for any supplies that could help me get back to health or cure my sickness. The server I was in was low pop, around 15 players, so I wasn't too worried about running into anyone else, but because I was in the Starry, VMC, North of Fairfield area, it's always bound to have a few players in it, so I was being pretty cautious. After heading out from Starry and then finishing up at Cabanino, I hit record right after hearing some shots coming over near VMC. Now, I actually stop here to zero my gun real quick just because I know that wherever this player is, they're probably still pretty far away from me, so it's possible that I could snipe them, and it's always good to be kind of prepared for what you might have to zero towards, but I did actually end up fucking up the zeroing later on. I end up checking out this tree line to the left here, just in case there's other players overwatching the area or trying to find the guy just like I am. It's always good to kind of check that beforehand. I actually end up spotting the player here just because of the zombie running. I probably wouldn't have seen them as easily if not. And I decided to shoot him based on a few factors. One, he isn't aware of my position, so even if I did miss all the shots, I'm far enough away that I can retreat and get away without being harmed or him knowing my exact position. Two, his position is very vulnerable on the other hand. So despite the weather conditions making it harder for me to see him, he's out in an open field with only one direction to run back to if he does get shot at. He's also mainly focused on shooting the zombies and probably isn't too worried about other players considering he's shooting. The third reason for killing him would be that my player's sick, and this player might have some kind of medical supplies or vitamins that I need to cure that sickness, and I'm not super geared either, so killing him would be my advantage either way, even if I wasn't sick. So I decided to take my shot here, and you can actually see that I missed the first two shots because my zeroing wasn't completely correct. And the rest of the shots are pretty much impossible to tell whether I actually hit him, but I'll leave that up to you guys to see. So I ended up taking quite a few shots at him, and I'm not even sure how many hit. I'm pretty sure it was only like one or two. But the zombie kind of interrupted me, so I couldn't really tell about the last shot or where exactly the player retreated to. So I decided to take a new position up in a tree line just north of where I was there and scout the tree line he was in to see if he's moving around to try and counter snipe me or flank around. At this point here, I actually think I can see his body, but because of the range and the scope I have, as well as the weather, it's kind of hard to tell whether it's the zombie that he was killing or him. So it's safer to just assume that it's a zombie body and that he's still alive, or that he might still have friends around, even if he is dead there. So I'm checking all the tree lines around the base to try and see if he does have friends that are trying to flank me, or if it's him himself. And this is a pretty good position for me to be in, as there is a rock wall in front of me, and the only place I'm really vulnerable from is behind, from Northwest Airfield. I cut a bunch of this out, but I was actually watching that same VMC area that he was in for about 15 minutes, and didn't see any movement at all, so I decided I needed to get closer, confirm if the body that I did see was in fact him, or if it was a zombie instead. I start using the Northwest Airfield wall here to kind of mask my approach as I try and make my way down towards the creek that runs through Vybor. I've used this creek many times to exit the base from BMC going towards Northwest Airfield, but I decided to use it the opposite direction this way, as it does provide some good concealment and cover from any snipers in the area, due to the low terrain and all the bushes that are lining it. The only real risk here is that if the player is leaping from this side, that it would probably be a coin toss situation and either one of us could come out of the fight alive. Now, the weather starts picking up just as I'm getting closer to the base, which is actually quite helpful, because with the rain falling even harder than it was before, it'll sort of mask my footsteps as I get closer. Now, I usually choose my videos because it's a nice PvP moment, or there's a good encounter in it, or something along the lines of that, but this video in particular is one of those everyday moments you have in DayZ. It's a moment pretty much everyone who's played this game can relate to, is when you see another player and you don't really know whether to engage or not. And this video is to show the kind of tactics you can take in order to evaluate your decisions and to see whether you should take the shot or not. So I only took the shot because he didn't know where I was and I saw him. He was out in a field, he was very vulnerable. And despite not having a good enough weapon or a good enough scope, I still decided to take that shot because I was relatively at low risk doing so. Even after taking the shots, I tried to remain in that position of relatively low risk by reconning the area for up to 15 minutes afterwards. Sometimes you can do it for even longer, because some people are willing to wait even longer than you are. And because the conditions were so bad and I couldn't really tell if I had gotten him or not, it was the safest option to either run away or come down here and give up a little bit of that safety to check if I did kill him and if there was a body that I could loot. And you can see here in a second that I actually do find the body, which I was quite surprised by, considering the conditions were pretty bad, and despite it being a low risk situation for me, it wasn't exactly high probability that I would have killed him. And I'm going to show a higher contrast version of the shots I took. I ended up missing the first 3 looking back at the footage, and I still can't really tell which one was actually the bullets that hit him. So if you'd want to watch this and maybe comment below which one you think hit, then let me know. And thanks for watching, guys. Hope you guys want more videos like this in the future with a little more commentary and breakdown in them. Thanks.